Hi guys, welcome to part 5 of dermatology. Let us continue with alopecia. Earlier in the previous part we spoke about patchy alopecia. Now guys, we're going to talk about the second type, that is your diffuse alopecia. Under diffuse alopecia we're going to talk about effluvium. What does the word effluvium mean? It means hair loss. Okay, it means loss of hair. Now guys, we have two types of effluviums. One is anagen and one is telogen effluvium. Under which category would you put chemotherapy and radiotherapy? Very good. You would put it under anagen effluvium. And guys, this is a PYQ. Okay, this has been asked. Okay, whereas guys, telogen effluvium happens in very stressful conditions. Okay, what are the different systemic stressful conditions? For an example, pregnancy, COVID-19, malaria, during the surgery, and excessive major stress. Okay, one thing that you guys need to know is that during telogen effluvium or post pregnancy, what happens is your premature hair, okay, your premature hair goes into the telogen phase. And how long is the telogen phase for? 3 months. That means after 3 months the patient will come with hair loss. Okay, so let us write this down, that the premature hair enters the telogen phase. Okay, and it stays there for how long? For 3 months. Okay, after 3 months, okay, 3 months later is when you lose hair. 3 months later is when you lose hair. Okay, so this was about telogen effluvium. Now guys, let us go to the third type, that is your patent alopecia. Under patent alopecia you have androgenic alopecia. First let us look at what happens in the men. Guys, one thing that you need to know is that in men, most commonly you might have noticed, the frontotemporal recession takes place. It is the frontotemporal recession that takes place in men. Okay, what is it? It is a frontotemporal recession. This is your frontotemporal recession. Okay, see, I hope you guys can clearly see, this is your frontotemporal recession. Recession means loss, right? Okay, one more thing that you will see this vertex. Okay, you will also see balding at the vertex. Okay, one is our frontotemporal recession. Second thing that you will see is you will see balding where at vertex. At your vertex. Okay, over here you will get a takla over here at your vertex. Okay, next guys, let us see what happens in females. In females guys, there will be a central portion of your hair will start thinning. The central portion, you guys can see, this is your central portion, this central portion will start thinning. Okay, your hair starts thinning from here. You might have seen a lot of old ladies, you know, they start losing their hair from here. One very important thing you guys need to know is that there is no, means absence of any frontotemporal recession in the case of females. So there is no, I'll write over here, no frontotemporal recession in females. Okay, so this is one thing you have to know in females. Okay, now let us look at the treatment. What can we do about it? Guys, what you need to know is, first you can give minoxidil. Minoxidil 2% is given in males. Who is it given? It is given males. And you will give minoxidil 5% in females. Okay, minoxidil 5% is given in females and minoxidil 2% is given in males. Okay, next, another treatment that you can give is you can give finasteride. If they'll ask you what is a mode of action of finasteride, it basically inhibits your 5-alpha reductase. What does it inhibit? It inhibits your 5-alpha reductase. What does your 5-alpha reductase do? It changes your testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. Okay, so this is what your 5-alpha reductase does, and this is your finasteride will go and inhibit this. Okay, one more thing that you need to know about finasteride is it is also given as a treatment of choice. Okay, it is also used in benign prostatic hyperplasia. It is also used in benign prostatic hyperplasia. There will be a male who will come with painful urination. Okay, so that is your benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay, next guys, let us look at the fourth type, systemic diseases. What all systemic diseases can cause hair loss? Guys, what you need to know is SLE. SLE can cause hair loss. Thyroid dysfunction can cause hair loss. Most important guys, anemia can also cause hair loss. Okay, so these are the various systemic diseases that can cause hair loss. Okay, now guys, let us look at the sub. Now we are done with non-scarring alopecia. Now let us look at the scarring alopecia. Okay, at the first scarring alopecia, this is a previous topic that we discussed, that was papillosquamous disease. Which papillosquamous disease had scarring alopecia? Very nice, it was lichen planus. It was lichen planus. I hope you guys remember the lichen planus, the 6 P's in lichen planus, the Wickham's try in lichen planus, right? I hope you guys are revising your topics. Okay, next guys, what is a granulomatous disease? that will have scarring alopecia. That is going to be your sarcoidosis. What do you need to know for sarcoidosis? A little pathology over here. There will be bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. Okay, there will be bilateral hilar lymphadenopathy. Very important pathology question. There is non-caseating. It is going to be a non-caseating granulomatous. Okay, granuloma. Okay, non-caseating granuloma will be present over here. Where will you see caseating? You will see caseating in tuberculosis, in TB. Okay, in TB you will see caseating. Okay, remember that. Okay, caseating in TB, non-caseating in sarcoidosis. Okay, this is for sarcoidosis. I'll keep a box over here. Okay, so like this, guys, keep correlating subjects as well so that you don't keep forgetting it. Okay, now guys, let us move on to the infections. So we're done with the papillosquamous disease that was having scarring alopecia, that was lichen planus. Next we were the granulomatous disease that is causing it. It is going to be sarcoidosis. Next, guys, let us see the infection. Okay, it is going to be tinea captis inflammatory type. The previous that we discussed for tinea captis was non-inflammatory type and non-scarring. Non-scarring, non-inflammatory. Scarring, inflammatory. Okay, let us look at it. First is going to be Favis. Okay, Favis, what you need to know is it is endemic in places like Kashmir. It's very cold there, so it is endemic to places like what? Kashmir. What is the etiology? It is Tinea schondleni. Okay, and guys, on woodlamps, what did we discuss earlier? On woodlamps, you are getting a dull blue appearance on woodlands. Okay, and how does the lesion look like? Let us look over here. Okay, you can see this yellow color. This yellow color is going to give you a cup appearance, right? So what are you going to see? You're getting this yellow cup shaped crust. What are you getting? You're going to get this yellow, I hope you can see this. Okay, this yellow cup shaped crust. Yellow cup shaped crust is going to be your Favis, endemic to places like Kashmir. Okay, also called as scutula. Okay, now let us look at the second type of tinea infection, inflammatory type. That is going to be a caryoin. It's going to be a caryoin. Caryoin, guys, is going to be this boggy red color lesion. Okay, etiology, let us look at the etiology first. It is caused due to a zoophilic fungi. It is caused due to zoophilic fungi. That is going to be a Tinea mentogophytes. Tinea mentogophytes or verrucosum. Tinea mentogophytes or verrucosum will cause this caryoin. Okay, how will a case scenario come? There will be a child. They will tell you there is a child. He's going to have a boggy scalp swelling, which is going to be painful. This is going to be a painful. Let us look at this. This is going to be a boggy scalp swelling. It is going to be painful in nature. Okay, it is, and you will have easy pluckable hair. You will have easy pluckable hair. Okay, and also there will be presence of regional lymph nodes. There will be presence of regional lymph nodes. One more very important point that they will give you in your question is, they will say that the patient has a pet dog. Okay, they will say there's a 10-year-old boy who has a pet dog who's come in with painful boggy lesions since the past 3 months. Okay, and the patient has easy pluckable hair. What are you going to mark? Close your eyes and mark caryoid. Dog dekha. If you see a dog in the question, okay, and if you see that there is an easy pluckable boggy, this word boggy scalp swelling, and they give you this reddish, this fleshy image, mark caryoin and come. Okay, what is the investigation I'll do? This is a fungi, so obviously I'll go for a KOH mount. Okay, now guys, let us move on to the next topic. It is going to be about sweat glands. Under sweat glands, first let us look at the eccrine gland. First, let us understand what eccrine means. Eccrine means the ducts directly open into the skin. Okay, eccrine means the ducts will directly open into the skin, whereas apocrine means what? Apocrine means first the ducts will open into the hair follicle. That hair follicle will take the secretion to my skin. Okay, this is apocrine. Eccrine means directly to my skin. Apocrine means hair follicle. Through the hair follicle, it will go and open into your skin. So that is the difference between eccrine and apocrine. Okay. Now guys, under eccrine sweat glands, what is the function of a sweat glands? Obviously, to release sweat, right? What is the mode of secretion? This is important, guys. Mode of secretion. Under mode of secretion, what you need to know is it is going to have merocrine secretion. What is it going to have? Merocrine secretion. Now you might be thinking, what is merocrine? Basically, guys, if this is my gland, okay, or this is my duct, okay, what I need to know is that the secretion is going to come out. It will come out, but these borders are going to be intact. Without destruction of my borders, secretion coming out is called as merocrine secretion. Okay, so what is going to be intact? There is going to be intact cell borders. Then also my secretion will come out. That is called as merocrine secretion. Understood? This is what is basically what you need to know. There is going to be an intact cell border. Okay. Now let us look at the diseases that are associated with our sweat glands. Okay, first, if there is any obstruction to our eccrine gland, okay, or sorry, our eccrine duct, that will be called as malaria. What is it called as? Malaria. Okay, now guys, let us look at the level of block of your eccrine gland. Now, if the block is taking place at my stratum corneum, that will be called as malaria crystallina. I will mark over here, the M over here denotes malaria. So malaria crystallina. Now guys, if you hear the word crystal, what do you think? Something transparent, whitish? So let us look at the image as well. Okay, so this is your malaria crystallina, whitish color. This is your malaria crystallina. I hope you guys can see malaria crystallina. What is the level? The level is going to be at your stratum corneum. Okay, next let us move on. If there is an obstruction at the level of a stratum spinosum, that would be called as malaria rubra. Rubra means red. Okay, prickly heat, or you will say, okay, malaria rubra. Okay, guys, see, this is your beautiful malaria rubra, red. Okay, and where is the level of obstruction? It is going to be at a stratum spinosum. Okay, next let us look at what if it is at your dermo-epidermal junction. If it is at your dermo-epidermal junction, you will call that as malaria profunda. What does the word profunda mean? Profunda means deep. What does profunda mean? Profunda means deep. Okay, I hope you guys have understood about sweat gland. Let us move on now to your apocrine glands. Okay, your apocrine sweat glands are present. Mostly they're present at your axilla or your groin region. At your axilla or your groin region. Okay. What is the function of this? This will cause body odor. What does this cause? This causes body odor. Okay, and what is a mode of secretion? The mode of secretion for this patient is going to be the apex, from the apex cell. See, this is an apocrine gland, right? This is an apocrine, sorry, 1 minute. Apocrine sweat gland, yes, sorry, my bad. This is an apocrine sweat gland. So what will happen is, it is going to be from the apex of the cell body. Let me draw an image and show you. Now see, if this is my gland, okay, this is the apex, okay. So this will go from the apex of the cell border, whereas guys, in the sweat glands, in the eccrine sweat glands, there was an intact, it was merocrine secretion. Okay, whereas over here it is going to be an apocrine, A for apex. Okay, apex of the cell border se through the secretions are going to go out. Okay, so this is your apocrine cell secretion. Okay, like you can see, right, the apex is pinched off. It is pinched off. Okay, now let us look at the diseases of your apocrine malaria. Okay, the very first thing for apocrine malaria, there is a synonym. It is called as Fox Fordyce disease. What is it called as? It is called as Fox Fordyce. This is important. Okay guys, remember Fox Fordyce. Okay, what is going to be the clinical feature? These are going to be pruritic papules. Where were the apocrine glands, guys? It was in the axilla region. They're going to be very itchy. They're going to be very itchy. Where? It's going to be in the axilla region. Okay, let me show you an image. See, this is your beautiful, this is what it is. This is your this is your Fordyce spots. Okay, these are your Fox Fordyce spots. Apocrine malaria. Okay, next let us look at what are the different modified apocrine glands that we have. Okay, so we are done with apocrine glands. Now let us look at the different modified apocrine glands that we have. First is going to be your breast. Next guys, in your external auditory canal, you have this gland called as your ceruminous gland. This will basically produce your earwax, right? Your earwax. Next guys, in your eyelid, you have the Moll's gland. What type of a gland is your meibomian gland? Meibomian gland. Your meibomian gland is a type of sebaceous gland. Okay, don't get confused here, guys. Your Moll's gland is a modified apocrine gland, whereas your meibomian gland is your sebaceous gland. Okay, remember this. Okay, this is an extra point that you need to remember. Okay, I'm going to draw boxes. Don't get confused. Okay. Now let us move on to your sebaceous gland. What is the work of your sebaceous gland? To secrete sebum. Okay, what is a mode of secretion? The mode of secretion, guys, is going to be holocrine. Holocrine means that the whole cell degenerates and then secretes. Okay, the whole cell will degenerate and then the secretion will come out. Okay, that is holocrine. Now what are the different type? Now guys, if your sebaceous gland involves your hair follicle, that will be called as a pilosebaceous unit. Okay, whereas guys, if it the example for that is obviously your pilosebaceous unit. If your sebaceous gland is associated with your hair follicle, it is called as pilosebaceous unit. If your sebaceous gland is not associated with your hair follicle, that is called as a sebaceous and ectopic, sorry, it is called as an ectopic sebaceous gland. What is it called as? It is called as an ectopic sebaceous gland. And where is this present? This is going to be present in your buccal mucosa and your upper lips. In your buccal mucosa and your upper lips. And what kind of thing will it give? It will give me this yellow color. Okay, I will show you an image. See, this is your yellow color micropapillary leaf spots. Okay, these are multiple. You can see there's multiple spots on the upper lip. This is your upper lip. You will see there's multiple spots. I'm going to erase it so you guys can see clearly. Okay, so these are your multiple micropapillary spots. Okay, and what is this known as, guys? This is called as Fordyce spots. Okay, what is it called as? This is called as this is D. Fordyce spots. It's called as Fordyce spots. Okay, so let us write over here. Fordyce is seen where? Where was Fox? Just now we studied. It was seen in your axilla. Where was it seen? It was seen in your axilla. Whereas only if they mentioned Fordyce spots, these are seen on your upper lips. Where are they seen? These are seen in your upper lips. Okay, don't get confused. And as I mentioned earlier, in your eyelid your meibomian gland, okay, or Z's. This is going to be this is a type of a sebaceous gland. Okay, next guys, let us move on to the new topic, acne vulgaris, something that most of us have gone through, and acne has always been another headache for everyone, right? So let us learn about this acne vulgaris. Okay, now what is the definition? First thing guys, it is chronic. It is chronic, multifactorial. There are many reasons that can cause acne, and it is an inflammatory disease of what? Of your pilosebaceous unit. Of your pilosebaceous unit. Okay, and guys, if they will talk about the etiology, okay, under etiology, your diet. What is the diet that causes it? This is a very common myth that people have, that the kind of diet that causes it is basically oily food, eating chips, this, that, blah, blah, blah. No guys, oily food has nothing to do with acne. It is basically your high glycemic diet and dairy products. What is it? It is your dairy products like ice cream and brownies and whatever sweet, I don't know what people like to eat nowadays. Okay, dairy products. Okay, your dairy products or high glycemic diet. Okay, so this is what causes acne. This is what you need to know. Okay, so now guys, let us go into a little depth. Let us understand the pathogenesis of acne, what exactly is happening over here. Okay, so if this is your this, I'm taking this as a unit. Okay, so I already mentioned earlier, what was this yellow color thing? This yellow color thing was my sebaceous gland. What was this? This was my sebaceous gland. Okay, what happens in my sebaceous gland? What happens in acne? First thing, your sebum secretion. What happens with sebum secretion, guys? Sebum secretion will increase. Sorry, your sebum secretion increases. What happens with sebum secretion? It increases. After that, what happens is this will, as I mentioned earlier, guys, remember on the upper, what was above the upper segment? Above the upper segment was your infundibulum. Okay, what happens over here is that due to the increase in your sebum secretion, this will start accumulating over here. Okay, what happens over here after that is there is a bacteria. Okay, that is called as a propionibacterium. Okay, propionibacterium, which causes acne. Okay, that is your propionibacterium that causes acne. Okay, this will start accumulating. They also call this as the QT bacteria. I have no idea what is cute about it, but just remember it. Okay, QT bacteria. What happens to this is this bacteria will basically go and cause inflammation. What will it cause? This will cause inflammation. Okay, and what happens in your infundibulum? Your infundibulum will start showing. Your infundibulum will show hyperkeratinization. What will it show? It will show hyperkeratinization. Hyperkeratinization. Okay, so all you need to know is, first thing that happens is there is an increase in your sebum secretion. Sebum secretion will increase. Also, what happens is that this propionibacterium acne, it starts accumulating. What does it start? It starts accumulating. What will this bacteria cause? It will cause inflammation. What does it cause? It causes inflammation. Okay. Now what you guys need to know is the different grades of your acne. What are the different grades of your acne? First, let us look at your grade number 1. Okay, Your grade number 1 is going to be comedons. Now you guys might have heard about whiteheads, blackheads, and these all parlor auntie keep on talking, you do this, you do that, your whitehead will go, blackhead will go, bullshit. Okay, let us see. Okay, now basically what is your blackhead? Your blackhead are basically what they say as your open comedons. Okay, whereas your whitehead are your closed comedons. Okay, white. Okay, let me show you an image and explain you over here. So you can see these are your blackheads. What are these? Is your blackheads. These are your open comedons. Okay, whereas these are your whiteheads. These are your closed comedons. Okay, comedons. Okay, so this is basically about your comedon. This is going to be grade number 1. And if they'll ask you guys what is the drug of choice for grade 1, that is only and only comedons, white and blackheads you see on your face, guys, you will give topical retinoids. You will give topical retinoids. And what is a wonderful drug? That is your tretinoin. Tretinoin or adapalene. Okay, tretinoin or an adapalene, these are like the wonder. Tretinoin is a wonder drug. Okay, next guys, if it is grade 2 will show you papules, grade 3 will show you pustules. You will see pus filling, yellow color, right? You will see pus filling, that is your pustules. Grade 4 guys, nodules and cysts. See this, you will see over here, this nodules and cysts, multiple nodules and cysts is grade 4. Grade 1 is comedons, grade 2 is papules, grade 3 is pustules, grade 4 is nodules or cyst. Okay, now let us look at the different topical treatment. Now if a patient with acne comes, first thing what I will be doing is I will give topical retinoids. Topical retinoids I mentioned earlier, tretinoin and adapalene. Okay, I can also give benzoyl peroxide. Why? Because my benzoyl peroxide, it has antibacterial properties. What does it have? It has antibacterial properties, right? I can also give topical antibiotics. For an example, clindamycin. Okay, topical antibiotics, that is clindamycin. Okay, if this does not work, I can go for systemic treatment. Under systemic treatment, I can get systemic antibiotics such as doxycycline. That is also not working, then I will go for oral retinoids. Wonder drug, isotretinoin. Isotretinoin, also called as 13-cis retinoic acid. Also called as 13-cis retinoic acid. Okay, this is an oral drug. Okay, now if they will ask you guys what is the most common side effect of isotretinoin, that is going to be chillitis. That is basically very excessive dry lips, your lips will start tearing, that is chillitis. Okay, and guys, if they will tell you with oral retinoids what am I supposed to monitor, first I'll monitor is my lipid profile, my liver function test, and I will check if a lady is pregnant, I have to also check. This is a category S drug. This can cause it is teratogenic in nature. Sorry, it is teratogenic in nature. Okay, this is what you need to know. Okay, next what you need to know guys is the next thing is going to be rosacea. Okay, now we're done with acne. So this is all you need to know about acne. This was the treatment, these are the different grades. Okay, and also we understood what is the diet. The diet is going to be dairy products and high glycemic diet. Okay, next guys, what you need to know is rosacea. What is rosacea? It is a chronic inflammatory facial dermatosis. Okay, dermatitis. Okay, that is what you need to know. Okay, it is a chronic inflammatory lesion of your face. Okay, what is the pathology? What causes it? It is because of vascular hyperreactivity. Basically what it means is vasodilation. Okay, because of vasodilation. Okay, and guys, there is a mite. This is a PYQ. There is a mite called as your Demodex mite. What is it? It is a Demodex mite. Okay, that is associated with this. Okay, what are different triggers? The triggers are going to be sunlight, stress, eating a lot of spicy food. You see some people are there, when they eat a lot of spicy food, the face turns red. Okay, and also what? Alcohol. Also alcohol. Okay, everything that you love here. Okay, that is spicy food and alcohol. But okay, what are the different symptoms? Okay, the symptoms that over here the patient will show is going to be photosensitivity and flushing. Ekdam red, pink, like a tomato face will come. Okay, and what are the different lesions? The lesions that you will be seeing is, you will be seeing it in the centrofacial erythema, telangiectasia, multiple papules and pustules. Okay, you can see this centrofacial. Okay, and where is it going to be? It's going to be on the convexities of your face. Okay, this is rosacea. Sites, as I mentioned, central convexities of your face. Okay, this guys, how will I differentiate between SLE and rosacea? Is basically SLE will never involve your nasal folds. Okay, SLE will never involve your nasal folds. That is what you need. There is no involvement of nasal folds, okay, whereas patients with rosacea can have your nasal folds involved as well, okay. Next, what you need to know is there is another condition called as rhinophyma, which we also call as potato nose. You must have definitely heard, you might have heard this in your ENT. This image has been shown 100 times. It's a PYQ. Remember it. Do not screw it. This is a PYQ. What is this? Potato nose, also called as rhinophyma. Okay, the lesions. What is a lesion? It's going to be a bulbous enlargement of the nose, okay, bulbous enlargement of the nose. And also guys, what you need to know is there is going to be hypertrophy and fibrosis of what? Of your sebaceous gland, there is going to be hypertrophy and fibrosis, okay. And if they'll ask you what is the treatment of choice, the treatment of choice is going to be metronidazole, okay, metronidazole, okay. And metronidazole, or you can also give doxycycline, okay, you can also give doxycycline. And if they'll ask you what is a laser that you can do, you can go for CO2 laser. What can you go for? You can go for CO2 laser, okay. Now guys, let us look at the genodermatosis, okay. Genodermatosis basically means genetic disease with skin manifestations, okay, or skin lesions, okay, genetic disease with skin manifestations or skin lesions. First, let us look at neurofibromatosis. There are going to be two. There are two types. There is neurofibromatosis type 1 and there is type 2, okay, neurofibromatosis type 2. You need to know guys a little pathology over here. The chromosome that is associated with neurofibromatosis type 1 is going to be chromosome 17q, okay, whereas guys, for neurofibromatosis type 2, it is going to be chromosome 22q. Okay, I'll write it like this, Q. Okay, this is the PYQ. Remember, don't guess. Remember 2, neurofibromatosis type 2, 22. Type 2, 22. For 1, you just have to remember 17. Okay, now let us look more in detail to it. Okay, first guys, what you can see, this is a very characteristic that you can see. Okay, this is a cutaneous neurofibroma. What is it? It is a cutaneous neurofibroma, okay. And what is this? Basically, this is the tumor of your connective tissues of the periphery, okay, of your nerve sheath, okay. This is a tumor of your connective tissue of your nerve sheath, okay. This is, what is it? This is your cutaneous neurofibroma. And when does the onset take place? The onset will take place during adolescence. What will it take place? It will take place during adolescence. It's going to be a skin colored papilonodule. It is going to be a skin colored papilonodule. On the other hand guys, this is your plexiform neurofibromatosis fascicle. When does the onset take place? You can see this multiple, okay. The onset takes place, it is congenital. It will take place, matlab it is from bachpan se, okay. Congenital, matlab from your childhood, okay, congenital, okay. Next, what you need to know is it is a diffuse enlarging plaque. You can see it's diffuse, it's basically everywhere, okay. It is diffuse enlarging plaque, okay. This is a plexiform. What does plexiform mean? It means basically multiple nerve sheaths are involved. Multiple nerve fascicles are involved. Okay, let us move on to the next. This is very characteristic, cafeolate macules, okay. You might have seen this a lot of times. What is this thing that you can see? The macules. These macule is going to be hyperpigmented. This is hyperpigmented. And what is the site? Mostly they're going to be on your trunk. Okay, next guys, these are your skin fold freckles. What are these? These are your skin fold freckles. You can see it's on your skin fold and you'll see multiple freckles. Again guys, this is going to be hyperpigmented. And where is it going to be? It's going to be in your axilla and your groin region, okay. These are your skin fold freckles, okay. Next, let us look. Now the next topic is going to be tuberous sclerosis. Under tuberous sclerosis, this is another important image that you need to know is your ash leaf macule. This is your ash leaf. You can see this ash leaf macule. Yes, this is your ash leaf macule that you will see in tuberous sclerosis. One very important thing guys, over here it is going to be hypopigmented, whereas cafeolate spots were hyperpigmented, whereas ash leaf macules are hypopigmented. Where is the sites are going to be the same. Trunk over here also, trunk over here also. How will I differentiate? If it is hyperpigmented, cafeolate spots. Remember, cafe means like coffee colored, right? So that is why cafeolate spots, okay. Whereas ash leaf macule is going to be in the trunk, but it is going to be hypopigmented, okay. Next guys is your adenoma sebum, okay. These adenoma sebum, they're going to be reddish brown, okay. This you can see, these are adenoma sebum. These are going to be reddish brown papules which are going to be present in your malar area and your nose. Where this is your malar area and this is your nose. This is your sebaceous adenoma, Okay, next very important is going to be your shagreen patch. Okay, what does the word shagreen mean? It basically means leather. What does shagreen mean? It means leather. Okay, so what is it? It is a leathery, so this is a shagreen patch. It is a leathery plaque. Where is it present? Very important, it is present at your lumbosacral region. Where is it present? In your lumbosacral region. Okay, next guys is this Cohen's and tumor. Okay, this Cohen and tumor is going to be present around your periungual. It is a periungual fibroma. Where is it? It is a periungual fibroma. You can see this over here. This is your periungual fibroma. Okay, so this was all about this part guys. See you in the next part. Thank you so much.